Welcome intellectuals to our today's wonderful tutorial. So this is Siding Institute. So in our today's tutorial, we are going to continue answering question 10, of which we ended on question D. We answered A up to D, so we're going to answer E and F. And in the last video for question 10, we are going to do question D. So just pay total attention to these questions because trig equations are very important. Like I mentioned earlier, in this question you just have to understand these parts. Okay, you have to know the range. So this will tell us the value of x should range from 0 up to 360. We shouldn't go beyond that. Okay, so we get our e is equal to, so we have 2 cos squared x minus sine x minus 1 is equal to 0. I think that's how the question is. That's how the question is. Okay. So from this equation, as we can see, we can't solve an equation in this manner where we have two trig functions in the same question. Hence, we are going to kill one. So how can we kill one? We're going to kill the one with the cos squared x. We're going to look at the part which has got an identity. So as you can see, this has got an identity. Okay. So when I take you guys to where I first identity which I ever mentioned. Okay, I mentioned that sine squared x plus cos squared x is equal to 1. And this equation, I even showed you where this comes from. So we can make cos squared the subject of the formula by taking sine squared to the other sides. So we're going to have cos squared x is going to be equal to 1. Since this is positive, it's going to become minus sine squared x. So these two are very, very important identities which you have to know. Because if you are looking for sine squared x, you can also do the same. You can just take cos squared to the other side. So let me also include it for the sake of you guys who are running from holiday tuitions. So we had sine squared x is going to be equal to 1 minus cos squared x. But as for now, I'm only interested in this part. So that where there is cos squared x, I'm going to replace by 1 minus sine squared x. So we are going to say 2. Now here we replace by 1 minus sine squared x minus sine x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we can expand now. 2 times 1, we have 2. 2 times that, we're going to have negative 2 sine squared x. Then minus sine x minus 1 is equal to 0. So you can now say 2 minus 1 is just 1. Okay. Say 2 minus 1, we're going to get 1 there. So what are we going to get there? We're going to say negative 2 sine squared x minus sine x. I said 2 minus 1, these are like terms, it's going to give us positive 1 since 2 is the one which is positive, is equal to 0. So how do you handle the question? The hint that I always guys give whenever which is not even guys in the lecture notes, is that this is just a quadratic equation in terms of sine x. So for me, how I used to handle this question, I used to say I'll write sine x to be equal to x, so that wherever there is sine x, I'm going just to put x and move on. So I'm going to say negative 2, where there is sine x, I put x now, because sine squared x, are going to have negative 2x squared minus sine x. Now sine x is going to be replaced by x, so you have negative x plus 1 is equal to 0. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, so what we are going to do is this. Okay, what we are going to do is this, because some of you can get confused about this negative. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace the whole equation by -1. So -1 times this, that means all that are negative are going to become positive, and those that are positive are going to become negative. So I'm going to have 2x squared, then this will become positive x, then this one will become -1 is equal to 0. That is just the way I used to also do this in terms if you are not okay with negatives. So with this part now, you can see that the product is going to be equal to this times this is -2. Okay, then the sum is going to be equal to 1, because that's the coefficient of x there. What are the factors? The factors are now going to be equal to, we need to have 2 and the -1, so that when we multiply this, we can get this, and when we subtract or we add, we can get 1. That is what it means. I know these are not a big deal mathematics, which we can even waste a lot of our time. Okay, so we can now replace this by the factors. So we're going to have 2x squared plus 2x minus x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we can factor out 2x here. Factor out 2x, you're going to have 2x into 2x squared, you're going to remain with x. Then 2x into 2x, you're going to have 1. Here you can also factor out what is common. -1 is common, so you can say -1. -1 into -x, you have positive x. -1 into -1, you have positive 1. Okay, so we can put which is those numbers that are outside together. We're going to have 2x minus 1, then also which is inside there, these are common, so I say x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so from this you can have two equations. What are those two equations? You have 2x minus 1 to be equal to 0. Then the other equation, it is equation 1. Equation 2 is going to be x plus 1 is equal to 0. This is equation 2. As simple as that. As simple as that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to solve this equation one by one. So the first equation is going to be equal to, so I'm going to say 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 as my equation 1, and the x plus 1 to be equal to 0 as my equation 2. Okay, so now I'm going to make x the subject of the formula. So I'm going to say 2x is going to be equal to this. We'll go to the other side to become 1. Divide by 2. We divide by 2. Our value of x is going to be equal to half. Same applies to here. X go to the other side. You're going to have x is equal to -1. Okay. So what are we going to understand here? What are we going to understand here is that because I don't want you guys to make a mistake. So these are not the value of x we are looking for. We made an assumption which we shouldn't forget. We made an assumption to say that we let sine x to be equal to what? X. Hence, we are going to say but sine x is equal to x. Hence, whenever there is x, we are going to put sine x so that we get back to what? To trigonometry. Sine x is equal to half. Same here, you say but sine x is equal to x. Hence, this will become sine x is equal to -1. So we can even find, because we only have one trigger identity to give us -1. So we say x is equal to 270. This is the only special angle for sine x which give us -1. So x is equal to 270. So with this part we are done. So we can just come to this side. Okay, what I want you guys to understand with this part, you know that what is the reference angle now? Okay, so sine x is equal to half. The reference angle is 30. Why? Because sine 30 is equal to half from the special angles that you rent. Now the other thing is to determine the quadrants. What are the quadrants? So the quadrants are where is sine x is positive. So the quadrant is 1 and 2. These are the quadrants in which sine x is positive. So in quadrant 1, sine x is maintained, the value of x is maintained. So the value of x is just the same as the reference angle, which is 30 degrees. Now what is going to happen to in the quadrant 2? In the quadrant 2, you are going to say the value of x is going to be equal to 180 minus the reference angle, which is going to be equal to 180 minus 30, which is going to be equal to 150. So the value of x is being said, hence the value of x is equal to 30 degrees, then 150, then 270. I enjoyed too much this, and you know this is the most asked question in an exam, the one which involves a quadratic equation. So make sure, you know, in lecture notes, things are so simplified to the point that the steps are even skipped. You can't even understand how they answer these things. So with this assumption which I made, it's going to make things very simple for you. So let's do now question F. Tan x is equal to cot x. Looks simple, but may drain you if you are not careful. So cot x is equal to tan x. Okay, so what we are going to do here, we know that what I want you to understand is that how is the question? Tan x is equal to cot x. Now it's just one and the same. Okay, even when I write cot x is equal to tan x, it's just one and the same. Now to avoid confusion, let me just write tan x is equal to cot x. But I told you guys that cot x is equal to 1 over tan x. These are inverse of each other. The same way, tan x is equal to 1 over cot x. So, using this identity here, I used to tell you that um, these are called inverse identities, or these ratio identities. So where there is cot x, are going to have 1 over tan x. So tan x is equal to 1. Here we're going to replace by 1 over tan x. We can cross multiply. So this times this are going to have tan squared x is equal to 1. So I can say the square root. We did something like this. I can't waste much of my time here. So tan x is equal to positive or minus 1. Because root of 1 is just that. It's just 1. So it's positive or minus root of 1. So one thing, guys, that you need to understand first is the reference angle. You say reference angle. For tan, the one which give us 1 is tan 45. Okay, it's tan 45. So the reference angle is just 45, because tan 45 will give you positive or minus 1. I mean, it will give you 1, not positive or minus 1. Just the reference angle is not the answer. So what about the quadrants? I told you that when you have positive or minus, the quadrant, meaning the value of x lies in all the quadrants. So just the matter of us to start finding those quadrants. So in quadrant 1, we maintain the value of x is just going to be equal to the reference angle. So it is 45 degrees. Then what about in the second quadrant? The value of x is equal to 180 minus the reference angle. So it is 180 minus 45. Our answer is 135 there. mind you, no calculator. Then in quadrant 3, the value of x is going to be equal to 180 plus theta. Just the opposite of quadrant 2. So 180 plus 45, you get to 25. Then in quadrant 4, in the fourth quadrant, the value of x is always 360 minus the reference angle, which is 360 now minus 45 degrees. The answer is equal to what, guys? Is 315. Very, very simple. So you even said to say the value of x is therefore 45, 135, 225, and 315. So this is how simple, guys, you handle this kind of trig equations. So guys, things like this are very, very important to take note of. First, make sure the equation has got what has got this. For example, from this question, we can't solve cos x and sin x at the same time. So use a possible trig identity which is going to replace one of the two with the other so that you may have same sin x. Then find the means by which you can make sin x the subject of the formula. After making sin x the subject of the formula, like the way we made here, find the reference angle, the quadrants, then you apply now your concept of the simple mathematics and the rules in each quadrant, of which, guys, all those things I talked about here, like you know, we are just doing a revision of what we are doing the holiday. So for you guys who may miss the holiday tuitions and you are interested to join us now, so WhatsApp me on this number now. The registration is just 70 kwacha per course. Okay, I've been saying this if you just been watching my videos without just shared. So just register per course, just 70 kwacha. We do mathematics, chemistry, physics, and biology. So WhatsApp me now so that you may be part of the team, so that we may try to make things simple for you guys. Semester 1 is not as easy as you have been taught, but it can be simple if you have got good mentorship. Some students just fail not because they are bad, but because they lack mentorship. So thank you for watching, guys. See, in the next lesson we are going to do this question. This question and this question are one and the same. It's just that here we have an interesting identity which we will talk about, which is a double angle identity. Very, very important. So thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next lesson. Waiting for your guys, for your messages to pop up. Also share this video. Share. So for you guys who I've included this picture of me because most of you been asking me, you haven't seen me before, and I'm not at many campus, hence yeah, you wanted for my pic. So this is the pic, of me. This is the one which is also on my YouTube channel. So you see this, just the same guy who is just trying to simplify things for you. So thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next lesson.